$1,000,000 addictions, exes banging down his door for alimony, and 47 siblings? This is Dennis Rodman's insane lifestyle.
The way it goes.
So some things in life are determined by fate, and some by choice. And Dennis Rodman struggles with both. As for his fate, Rodman had it tough starting out. His father left him when he was young, and according to Dennis, he had over 47 siblings. Come on, man, who's your father? Attila the Hun? This man has so many siblings that him, his mother, and his grandma can't even agree on how many there are. And even though Rodman was the oldest of his siblings, he was shy and introverted as a kid. Growing up with two sisters and his mom, he often felt overwhelmed and overpowered. And even though he is the NBA star in his family today, growing up, his sisters were the basketball stars, leaving him largely ignored by his mom. But he did have choices growing up, and even though he wasn't the best at first, choosing to play basketball was no mistake. Rodman watched his sisters win state championships, become high school favorites, and get college scholarships, all while his 5'6" ass couldn't even make a layup. And as hard as he tried, he left high school with no accolades, and according to his coaches, no standout potential. But fate came around, and this time it had better things in store for Rodman. In a year after high school, after working night shifts as an airport janitor, Rodman suddenly had a growth spurt from 5'11" to 6'7", and at that height, you know he had to take up basketball again. And the road was rocky. He flunked out of the first college he played for. But after joining the team at Southeastern Oklahoma State University, the clouds parted and the light shined on Dennis. He won MVP awards for the team and garnered the attention of the Detroit Pistons. And you know what happens next. Rodman would become one of the best rebounding forwards in NBA history, play for 6 NBA teams, win 5 NBA championships, and earn $27 million throughout his career. And remember, this was in the 90s, y'all. That's like $100 million today. And honestly, I have respect for players in 2022, but I don't think they would last very long in the court in 1985. Let me know if you disagree in the comments, guys. On the outside looking in, Rodman's life was a miracle anyone would feel lucky to live, but things weren't always fine and dandy with Rodman. Dennis struggled with depression, and in 1993, he attempted suicide. He stopped himself from going all the way, but after that, he knew he had to make some major changes. Suicide's never the solution. It's unbelievable to me that he could ever feel so low. He earned NBA All-Defensive First Team honors 7 times and won the NBA Defensive Player of the Year award twice and was beloved by many people in the world. This dude also led the NBA in rebounds per game for 7 consecutive years, being just 6'7", and won 5 NBA rings. He's such a legend that on April 1st, 2011, the Pistons retired his jersey. But there is one thing I would ask Dennis if we ever met. What was it like to date Madonna? And we'll find the answer in this video. So time to take a look at Dennis Rodman's crazy lifestyle. Net worth. Unfortunately, in 2022, Dennis Rodman is not in the 9-figure club. In fact, he's not even in the 8-figure club. My man Dennis isn't even in the 7-figure club right now. It's sad because this guy did make good money during his time in the NBA, but nowadays most of his wealth is gone. And a big reason for that is because Rodman was playing basketball just when it was starting to really take over US markets, and also because of his insane spending habits. But his brokenness isn't the league's fault. He was making $9 million a year, while Scottie Pippen was only making $3. But hey, we've made enough of these videos to know that there's more than one way for NBA superstar to make some dough, and right now is usually when we talk about endorsement deals. But Dennis Rodman was so flamboyant, so outside of the box, and such a character that he didn't have a single endorsement deal. Even though in terms of fame and popularity, he was one of the biggest stars the NBA had ever seen. So he funneled his star power into the one thing that would make him popular in the 90s, wrestling, which wasn't the worst idea back then. World Championship Wrestling threw money around like crazy in the 90s. Hulk Hogan was the highest paid athlete in the company, and they threw Dennis Rodman a cool $1.6 million only for a little participation. Not bad for a few days of work, right? And even though he never had the long-term, high-dollar endorsement deals that his peers today have, he starred in some commercials and even wrote a few books. So after all that, what is his net worth today? Unfortunately, it only rounds up to about $500,000. And why? How could such an iconic and highly paid player fall so far in just a few decades? Alcohol addiction, child support debts that he couldn't pay, multiple divorces, fines and penalties from the NBA, and extravagant spending habits while not investing in assets is exactly how. Man, dude might need to hit up some of his old teammates from the Chi to see if they can help him out, man. But if Jordan was too cheap to even give a homeless man outside of McDonald's $1, I don't think he's giving Dennis any money anytime soon. But when he was up and back making millions, Rodman did buy some interesting houses. So let's check out his mansions. So one of Rodman's first nice homes that he had back in the day was in Newport Beach, California. He purchased it for $825,000 in 1996, and he sold it for almost 5 times what he paid for it in 2004 at $3.8 million. Man, that's a $2.9 million profit. Forget an endorsement deal. But part of the reason he had to sell the Newport Beach mansion was the spot was burnt out after over 70 calls to the police from his neighbors for noise complaints and loud behavior, partying all day long and paying fines to the US government. It's no surprise this man lost his money, but the Rodzilla has transplanted to a new home in beautiful Michigan, where he's from. He now lives in a 6,681 square foot house with 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. All of this is spread out across 3 stories and overlooks a gorgeous lake and fort. My man Dennis was so loud throughout his career, he eventually wanted some peace and quiet, I guess. And what better place than the land of lakes? So how does Dennis Rodman get around the great state of Michigan? Rodman's known for his tattoos, outrageous style, and bad boy attitude, and his epic cars fall right in line with the rest of his personality. So let's check out Rodman's car collection. His first foray into wild paint jobs was his 1996 Hummer H1. Although most of the custom paint is somewhat illicit, it is really a show on wheels. Some might call it tacky, but the uniqueness of the vehicle cannot be denied. And if he cuts you off in traffic, you'll know exactly who did it. And not only does Dennis appreciate art, he also has a need for speed, as his collection once included a 2004 Lamborghini Gallardo. Again, the car had a custom paint job that had a gold top, black doors, flaming red dice, and to top it all off, a picture of Dennis Rodman's head, his mouth open and screaming, covered in big red flames. Some celebrities like to go unnoticed, but not this guy. Dennis Rodman also has a Bentley Continental, but I guess if he wants to slide under the radar, he could always hop into his Ford Mustang or his pickup truck. What can I say? A man needs options. And this is especially true, more than anything else, about Dennis's love life. So let's get into it. Now, Dennis Rodman cannot be held down, that's for sure. Rodman began dating his first wife, Annie Bakes, in 1987, and they got married in September 1992. Their marriage was idyllic, full of love, laughter, and adventure, and they even had a daughter together, Alexis. It was a beautiful 82 days for all 3 of them. Hold on, what? 82 days? Man, that's Kim Kardashian levels, bro. Didn't I tell you Rodman couldn't be tied down? And I hope Annie was able to rebound quickly after the divorce, because it couldn't have been easy to find out that not 2 years later, her ex was dating Madonna, the Madonna. Iconic pop star, drummer, singer, and performer Madonna. And this one only lasted a few months too, but the paparazzi ate them up, and this relationship was covered top to bottom by the press. But surprisingly, Rodman absolutely loved his relationship with Madonna. When asked about the relationship, he said, "We never had any problems. It was one of the easiest relationships I've ever been in." And apparently Madonna was desperate to have his child, once even flying across the country to Las Vegas during her fertile window to, you know. But I guess it never worked out, because Madonna ended up adopting a child years later. Rodman's next major flame was the one and only Carmen Electra, and they had a good run. They were married for an entire year, which is like a decade for Dennis Rodman time. Carmen helped him to overcome the massive pressure of playing for the Bulls, with some conjugal visits in the Bulls training facility. Come on, bro, not the training room. 2 decades later, Carmen recounted those times in an interview, saying, "It was crazy, like 2 kids in a candy store. We were eating popsicles from the fridge and pretty much having sex all over the dang place. In the physical therapy room, in the weight room, obviously on the court." Dang, where were those scenes in The Last Dance? Now, after all of this, would you believe me if I told you that Rodman, after discarding Carmen, had a 12-year relationship? It's true, Rodman met his 3rd wife, Michelle Moyer, in 1999, and the couple went on to have 2 kids together. Now, Moyer filed for divorce in 2004, and even though they were able to reconcile for a few years, they had to officially dissolve it in 2012. But that's a pretty good run for Dennis, as we've seen. And honestly, I think this divorce was the real nail in the coffin for Dennis's finances. In March of 2012, the LA Times reported that Rodman could face jail time over unpaid child and spousal support, with an Orange County court threatening him with jail time if he didn't pay over $800,000 to his ex-wife. So he had to pay the piper. And this man might have had a side hustle with the CIA, because it was reported that Dennis Rodman was crucial in negotiations between former President Trump and Kim Jong-un when dealing with nuclear tensions. My man fancies himself a diplomat because he also tried to go and help and retrieve WNBA player Brittany Griner from a Russian prison. But at his age, I don't think that's gonna work out. That's it, guys. That was Dennis Rodman's crazy lifestyle. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.